Hello, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Scott Scheit. I am the Chief Security Officer here at Seimitsu. And prior to coming to Seimitsu, I served 27 years in the United States Army as a military intelligence and cyber operations officer. What we'd like to do today is go over our capabilities and offerings and also speak to some of the additional areas within Seimitsu that we have support that will also carry over to things that we do in the cybersecurity space. So approximately a year ago, I began consulting with Seimitsu for the gap that existed in security services in our area. Prior to that, I was in academia and still instruct part-time as a cybersecurity instructor in the technical college world. But I also served at the university level as the executive director of a university cyber center in our region in the Southeast United States, and monitored the gap that existed in the workforce for IT and cyber professionals to meet the demands that exist in helping to secure cyberspace, not just in our area, but around the country as a whole. And then, of course, around the world. So as we're speaking with many partners from other countries, we are seeing that the same type of workforce gap exists and lack of strong security services in other areas outside the United States. So in talking with Seimitsu and giving some advice, we got to the point where I was asked to come on and just build what we had been talking about. And so we began to do that. And so we looked around and we identified what small to medium businesses in our area were in drastic need of. We took an inventory of our own verticals that we support, and our largest verticals include healthcare, lawyers' offices, legal firms, municipalities, county and city governments. We support those very well. Specialty health clinics in conjunction with the hospitals. And then we have many other clients in other verticals, maybe not as many as the ones that I just mentioned, but we cover logistics, we cover real estate, we cover construction companies. So there's probably not at least some type of company that we're not supporting with our security services. So overall, Seimitsu looked at these verticals and identified the need for what we called security beyond the firewall. So in our MSP IT division, we have a very strong complete care program where it's kind of like wrapping the Seimitsu blanket around the customer and being everything that they need when they need it, if they desire to have that level of support from us. But as we looked in the post-COVID world and we identified concerns in the remote workforce, small business owners working from home and things like that, we decided to start with what I call security beyond the firewall. And so we wanted to reach out to what is known as the endpoint devices. Those are your laptops, desktops, and servers, and mobile devices as well, smartphones, tablets. And we wanted to try to figure out how to help those individuals who are not back in the office to be able to have a level of security almost as similar as possible. So one of the biggest issues that we have with small and medium businesses is the cost factor. And I nor the team here at Seimitsu have a desire for cost to be the reason why you can't have a strong security package. And so we were blessed to partner with several vendors that our purchase in bulk of security licenses and different capabilities allow us to divvy that resource out to small to medium businesses that may not be able to afford that on their own. So where some of the security companies out there would expect you to have 1,500, 2,000 endpoints, laptops, desktop servers, for example, we're able to support a small company that only has 3 to 5 people because we can take our bulk of sensors and deploy those out as we see fit from our security operations center. And so we wanted to partner with award-winning capabilities and vendors. And one of those that we use is an organization called Cynet. We have become over the last year a master distributor for Cynet. We'll see in a moment a review of the Cynet dashboard that's used by our SOC to provide 24/7, 365-day-a-year coverage. That is done by our team in Seimitsu, as well as our international SOC partners from the vendor team out of Israel. We looked at next what is needed to support organizational readiness posture overall. The next biggest thing from endpoint security that's of concern to us is the user, the employee. One thing that I like to say and share with people is that we, the people, the wetware, we have the wetware here in our brain, in our skull, right? So we understand hardware, the keyboards, the computers, software, the things that make it run, but then we're the wetware that we have to train and repurpose and reposture and just continue to reinforce the strengths that should be there on a regular basis when it comes to cybersecurity hygiene and posture. So then we looked at what are those other things that will help create the human firewall beyond the organizational firewall. And so then we partnered and developed into our program what we call a breach protection platform. And the breach protection platform allows us to provide what would come from multiple vendors in one location. And between our breach protection platform and our endpoint security sensors, we are blessed to be able to carry a very heavy load of security posturing for our clients and partners. So the breach protection platform allows us to deliver cybersecurity awareness training, annual cyber training, in many cases for our our medical clients. HIPAA grade regulations are a concern. And so our tools and platforms all scale up and support compliance requirements all the way up to the HIPAA level. The training is an annual training. It also has phishing campaigns built into it that we're able to help people, help organizations develop the ongoing readiness posture and reminding of employees what they should be looking for when responding to emails or understanding threats that are directly engaging their organization. And so we're also able to take that platform and monitor the dark web. So when there's a data breach, such as you may have heard of from Yahoo or Target or Adobe, I'm trying to think of some of the things that we use in the business world, Dropbox, all of these companies have had data breaches, which is a sad thing because as customers of theirs, now our data is available on the dark web for threat actors to be able to buy or just harvest, as we would call it, without much notice of us. And so in our security package, we're able to do 24-hour dark web monitoring of 3 organizational domains. So if you have like one domain that your email goes to, one domain that is your I guess like your main domain, your main .com, and then maybe you've got a third one that you might use for something else, business related, but we can monitor those 3 domains if you have accounts associated with them to see if any of the email accounts associated with those domains were to either have already been in a data breach or if they show up in one in the future. So where we start with that is to look at the data breach and identify kind of where professional emails are at. And so if we see them in those professional related accounts, as I mentioned before, such as Adobe and Dropbox, we want to know what those are so we can see if any more happen in the future. But we're also looking to help educate the workforce that perhaps you shouldn't be using your professional email at myfitnesspal.com or a dating site or a gaming site such as Zynga. Zynga's been hit with 3 data breaches. in the last couple of years. And so each time the even if you change your password after the first or second, if your account is still there, it just keeps rolling over. The focus of that is not to say we shouldn't have those accounts or sites, but do you need your professional email on the gaming site sending you information about your status for gaming? We want to keep organizational posture and organizational data as strong and secure as we can. And so that's why we don't want organizational emails to be able to get out on the dark web any more than necessary, because threat actors can then go and harvest those. And even if it's an old email of potentially of a not a client, excuse me, of an employee that doesn't work there anymore, that may be the only one that they get, but it allows them to understand how your organization goes about creating your emails. And so if they then can check LinkedIn or some other social site, business related, they kind of find somebody else that works at your organization, they're able to use that type of referential knowledge to understand how they can go about looking at trying to figure out ways and vulnerabilities for your organizational network. Most of the dark web breaches that we find will tell us if the username and password was compromised. Some will tell us that the address associated with that account was compromised. So then we get into a situation where not only do we need to change the password organizationally, but those employees need to understand that they should be on the lookout in their own personal banking environments, and maybe some things happening around their house, their own home, might show up as vulnerabilities if someone was to be using that information nefariously. So we're able to do that 24-hour dark web monitoring in our breach protection platform as well. In an active state for an organization, while we're looking at the professional emails, the employee environment allows unlimited employee professional and employee personal email. So if they've got a Gmail, a Yahoo, if they want to check their family, their spouse, their kids, their grandparents, whatever, we don't charge for additional stuff because we want them to be as comfortable and open as possible with getting that information out to family members and others if necessary. So then carrying on with the breach protection platform, we are able to do a security risk assessment for the organization. Security risk assessments can run $20,000, $30,000 in many cases. And the way that our stuff is structured allows us to cut that cost down significantly. Most of our costs we found is 40 to 60% lower than competitors, and not because of substandard tool sets or lack of skilled security personnel, but because we understand where all the extra is added to these things. And so we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but on the price, kind of around the price structure. But security risk assessments allow us to get a baseline whole of the organization. We're able to look at the posturing compared to perhaps HIPAA, as I said before, a HIPAA compliance standard requirement, and go through with the organization where they're at now and where we want them to be or where they may want to be, depending on the focus and depth for the growth and maturity of their security program. If there are anything such as HIPAA or CMMC, the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, which would apply to organizations, even small businesses, but if you have government contracts for the United States, that's going to be a concern. So some of our international partners, we deal with Canada. So we have the Canadian Digital Transformation Agency that we're monitoring those type of compliance standards to have an idea of where they're at in the developing of their strategy and their posture for government, I'll say subsidies, but there are government financial programs that they are able to benefit from if they have a strong digital posture. And Canada, part of that digital transformation for Canada is now a cybersecurity component to the overall digital transformation. So we also are tracking, such as in Australia, you have the Essential 8. The Essential 8 covers 8 areas that they want organizations to be highly successful in the strength of their posture to the degree that the desire is not to be high in several of the essential 8 across the spectrum, but to be complete in as many of them as possible before going up to the next level. So we're keeping up with those type of things is the point of sharing that with you. Part of what we learned over the last year is, as I talked about some of these tools and the capabilities of the tools, it begins to get to be a lot, especially for small business owners that just want to be successful in their business. And so we transitioned to what we call a virtual CISO solution, and CISO stands for Chief Information Security Officer. So whether it's a small 2 to 3 person company or a 5,000 member organization, there should be some type of backup there for those organizations to have security success and oversight. And so we put together a solution that will include a virtual CISO support, even if it's a couple hours a month, to small, medium, and large clients, that goes beyond just worrying about a security sensor on a laptop or a desktop, or making sure the firewall settings are done. We look at cyber insurance reviews. We will spend time throughout the month helping with organizational executive meetings. Do you need someone to speak at a board? Do you need help with planning on what equipment should be done for the security posturing? Whatever it may be that you would normally, if you could have a person on staff to provide that support, we're here to help with that as much as possible when we put together a solution. So while we have the individual tools to help small to medium businesses, and of course, these apply all the way up, we can just as easily support very large business and government partners as we can small to medium. That's the biggest focus area for us. 60% of the cyber attacks are against small to medium businesses. Small to medium business definition being 1 to 500 employees. And the biggest concern we have there is that a small to medium business that gets hit with a cyber attack, if they don't have a good plan and a team to support them in place, if that was to happen, they go out of business within 6 months. So that's a desire of ours to help keep that from happening and to get things fixed and supported as quickly as possible in our virtual CISO solutions. So when we started providing virtual CISO solutions, we got a little bit more traction from organizations to feel like they weren't in it alone. It's not just, oh, well, you want us to buy these security tools and then we still have to figure out how to use them. So in the virtual CISO solution, our 24/7, 365 remediation comes also as part of that package. So while I mentioned earlier, we have a NOC where for the IT side, where they're doing data backup, disaster recovery, co-location. We also have our security operations center, where we have former U.S. military trained analysts, security clearances, all that kind of stuff that goes with it. But we are watching as the Seimitsu family, our small to medium customers and other MSPs who have rolled our security out into their IT support. We are their backup. We don't leave you. We don't leave a partner. We don't leave a client. We will stay up all night if we have to. We will be the first one to call you before you even know have a problem. Just the way the Seimitsu family is. Myself, the CEO, everybody on our team is constantly keeping up with the strength of our customer service and the desire to make sure that the customer can keep being successful in what they do in their business while we give them a security solution that keeps them safe and keeps them from having to worry about those headaches. So I'm looking here. Just want to show you a couple things on screen share. So I just want to touch on the overall structure of the capabilities that we have here at Seimitsu. But just a simple sheet here to share with you. And while my job is to be the architect of security solutions for ourselves and our clients, Seimitsu is a very strong partner when it comes to the whole of business technology. So we have been in business since 1984. 38 years, we've matured into a fiber internet business technology and cybersecurity company. And we use those capabilities to give a partner and a client a whole of value when it comes to what they're getting. So we might start talking about cybersecurity, and part of that then will spill back over maybe into the IT side where we add some data center backup. Maybe there's interest in a dark fiber line for their organization or their city or their government offices. So we can pull from our True Fiber division, we can pull from our IT department, and we have a bridge amongst our departments that allows us to create a solution that is not just security tools. But as we see here, some of the things, of course, classic multi-factor authentication. We talked about the dark web monitoring. Other things that we can do as well includes cybercrime support, digital forensics, cyber defense operations, open source intelligence. And so as we look at the full breadth of Seimitsu capabilities, there's a hard moment to find something that we don't have personnel that can come to the table and work on a solution that is needed for a specific client. So let's jump over and I want to make sure that I get, excuse me. So we want to look at the generalities of our cybersecurity services. So we talked about the breach protection platform. And if you go to, excuse me. Of course, if you go to seimitsu.com, you'll find all of our services there. But if you go to our managed security services and you scroll through, you'll get our website overview of the things that I've spoke with you about and some things that we still have ahead. But we have here a demonstration of our breach protection platform. So as we saw, that was our breach protection plan and our platform overview. So as we saw, that was our breach protection platform overview. Next, we'd want to look at just a overview of our endpoint security that goes on laptops, desktops, and servers so that we can establish that extended security beyond the firewall posture, as we talked about earlier. So as we shared there, our tool Cynet allows us in the Security Operations Center to monitor a significant amount of stuff for our clients. Predominantly, this is built for an organization with maybe a small security team that could be effective on their own, maybe some more training and some deep dive involvement with Cynet. But part of the value that we bring is that our team already knows how to use this. We have the ability, as I mentioned earlier, in the bulk of purchasing that power that we've been able to do. We have been able to purchase a large set of security licenses and support packages. So we can provide to a 2 to 5 person company a capability that they could only get access to if they had 1,500 employees and wanted to roll this out. This allows us to provide what we would call tier 1 and tier 2 security operations center support for direct clients, or we've had success recently in the last 4 months where we've had other MSPs and IT companies, even around the world, Canada, the US, overseas, and they are just taking some of our security service capabilities and rolling that in with the things they're already doing. So they may be doing the managing of the firewalls. They may already have like phone service, or they're helping with the printers and all the stuff that an IT team might do. And so we are able to come behind and have security sensors on the endpoints to help in case there's a ransomware attack or a man-in-the-middle attack. We're also able to roll out cyber awareness training. So the organization can begin to, as we mentioned earlier, build that human firewall. And so as we go and grow, we went from tools into the virtual CISO solution concept, which allows us to work as a team member of the organization, of the client, and then we saw all of this come together into what is our overall SOC as a service, Security Operations Center as a service. And so here's a snapshot from our website that you can see there too. And it is a summary of the bulk of our security capabilities. There are still other things that we can layer in, as I mentioned earlier, from either our IT team, our data and fiber division, or an MSP or another IT partner. But we have the ability to fill many gaps that exist. We've also found that this helps with cyber insurance reviews to be able to fill the gap of multi-factor authentication, having threat sensors on endpoints, doing dark web analysis, keeping up with the training to show insurance providers that you're doing the best that you can with what you're given. Then we have those virtual CISO hours, as I spoke to before. And then recently, we're happy to be able to share that we've been able to partner with another vendor that allows us now to provide, as you see here on the screen, what we call our cybersecurity service assurance. It's not insurance. It's more like a service warranty, like you would get if you bought a car or some other item where you can sign up for the extended warranty. For us, this program allows us to support things that small to medium businesses cannot normally recover from: a ransomware attack, a compliance or regulatory oversight, business interruption. You can see some of the numbers there. We can provide 100,000 towards ransomware protection. What that would mean is if the client that we're working with does receive a ransomware attack, with all of our security supporting them, as long as they meet some requirements, it's just some very simple things, which is probably already involved in their security posture if they are already working with us. We are able to cover one event a year of any of those things. Now, hopefully, we're not dealing with multiple versions of these events, but if you're tracking that some small businesses get hit with $1, $2, $3, $4, $500,000 in ransomware attacks, this can help with that. Doesn't take the place of insurance. We still recommend and we still support that you need cyber insurance if that's a requirement of your industry or your vertical. But we do work with our clients and our partners to help make sure that their cyber insurance reviews are strong and that they're accounting for everything to give a good picture of their security posture. But let's say we got hit with a compliance issue. We've seen a lot of things interestingly recently. For example, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services fined a small medical company $100,000 just because the calendar settings in their Google Workspace account was not set correctly. And that was, they didn't have a full-time IT person. They didn't really have a security person. They did have a operations, like a medical operations manager who was also trying to take on those configuration and admin type issues. But it turned out that they did not have the time or did not take the time or was not aware of the need to do so, to understand that there are over 40 different security settings for the Google workspace alone, especially if you're a medical entity that has to deal with the HIPAA compliance requirements. And so our support, if that was to happen, we'd be able to support something like that. If there was a business interruption, things went down and the posture just wasn't working, as you see, we could do $50,000 for that. And then the other 250,000 supports cyber legal liability. So if the ransomware is more than 100,000 and that was paid first, if the business interruption was more than 50,000, but that claim was processed first, we would still be able to potentially pull from another 250,000 of warranty support from our assurance program. With that program, doesn't apply to everybody all the time, but we also do have a referral portal now for cyber insurance with our partners that we can recommend people go look at. We don't sell cyber insurance. We're not insurance salesmen. We're just happy to be able to say that in addition to the strength of the security program that we've built, we come to you, to the client, to the partner with $500,000 worth of a warranty and a guarantee on helping with increasing and supporting your posture. Let's see. So we covered that. Oops, let's log back in here. We will look at a screen share of the breach protection platform. So we'll use our made up company here. Well, got our name on it, right? But just give you an idea. So from our side, from the security team side, we see an organization such as Seimitsu, and we see everybody that's in the organization. We see what the overall organizational score is, and this overall organizational score gets better as the employees do more of the cyber training and the things that are required to increase their posture, to include accepting and acknowledging security policies for the organization. But we're able to pull training reports, as we see here, any of the training that's been completed by the employees. The policies portal I love, because as part of the virtual CISO solution, you can see some of the things here that we're able to help an organization with because they don't already have these policies in place. We're able to template this so that it covers on average 90% of the expectations that goes into a security policy. So we could click on one, for example, we'll show you. This is a contingency plan. Description of the policy. Policies, procedures, and processes must be developed and implemented for responding to a disaster or emergency that damages information systems containing, in this case, EPHI. In this case, we're talking about electronic personal health information. And so this kind of shows some examples of where, like, the HIPAA regulation for healthcare organizations would come into play, because this is one of the administrative areas that HIPAA is expecting a health-related organization to have. And so, as you can see, there are workstation use policies, workstation security, device and media controls, and we go through 18 here for a HIPAA. If it's a non-HIPAA client, we would have 10 security policies. We customize these for the organization. There's a whole nother level that we do for our customer service side. We create a 3-ring binder. We put all this in here. We give you a analog version as well. We will send that out no matter where the customer or partner is in the world. When that's ready to go after the onboarding process, we will put that together and send it out so that we can have a collaborative activity going as we continue to increase the security posture. If the organization already has policies, all we have to do is take those, make sure that they're in the same format. We load them in here, and now you'll have one place for all of your policies for your employees and your staff and your auditors to go to if they want to see where are you keeping all this, how is someone keeping up with all of this. The document section gives us additional resources that we can help an organization with. Do you have a bring your own device policy? Do you have a cloud vendor compliance check? That's a big one. Those and business associates are big right now, because what has happened many of the times, even in the big data breaches that we've seen, was, for example, Target did not get attacked. One of their vendors got attacked, but it was actually one of their vendors that got attacked. And then that was the way that the threat actors were able to move up and then into Target's system, and Target being a very large retail chain in the United States a couple of years ago. And so we are able to take additional documents that may not exist in an organization, and as we help them over the course of a year or 18 months, whatever they've contracted with us for to provide security, that we will grow their program and make them stronger and keep up with all of the things that they don't have time to. One of our other leaders in the division, he likes to say, we're your pit crew. We just want you to be able to get in your race car and drive it as fast as you can for your business success. And we're going to change the tire when you come into for a pit stop. We're gonna check the oil. We're going to keep all that stuff going. We're going to tell you that you can go as fast as you can go because the motor is fine-tuned and everything is functioning just the way that it's supposed to be. And so these are just examples of how we go about doing that. We're able to do a security risk assessment from inside of our breach protection platform, as I talked about earlier. We fill these out. It actually goes out to our third-party auditor, so it's an out-of-house auditing team. Usually takes about a week. That audit gets done by certified auditors. We get the report back, and then we're able to sit down with the client or partner and go over what that looks like now and how do we carry them over the next 12 months into a stronger security posture. We're able to set up phishing campaigns. We have them in several different languages. They are from all over the world. And so what we tend to look at is what are the type of phishing emails or likely engagements that employees in a specific client's environment might fall for, is what it boils down to. And so if we're in review of a medical client, we're going to look at probably anything that a medical person might not catch real fast. If we're dealing with education, an education partner, what are the types of things that teachers might not remember really fast that they should be concerned about? So we kind of scope it that way. If I'm an employee and I'm seeing this is very simple. We have single sign-on once we get Active Directory and 365 and or Google Okta configured, whatever the organization might be using. But then as an employee, when I come in, I can see, we can turn off the leaderboard if an organization doesn't want that on, but I can see what my place is comparison to everybody else in the organization that's keeping up with doing their stuff. My employee security score will go up as I do all of the things as an employee that I should, such as my annual training. When I do that training, I just come in here, I can click from here, do my training, click here, take a 20 question quiz, and then print my certificate off here. And so let's take a look at how some of that training looks.
Hi, thanks for pressing the help button. I'm Allie, here to assist. You were watching our dark web shopping channel where cyber criminals go to buy and sell goods, services, or information that they may not have been able to obtain another way. Although this was only a dramatization, the dark web is a real place where breached data is available for sale in an online marketplace. When a breach occurs,
so as you see from the beginning of that example, we have here topics from cybersecurity posture and concern, PII being personal identifiable information, phishing, ransomware.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Fishing with Phil. Now, usually I'm here talking to you about the wonders of casting out your...
So Phil here is going to talk to people about cyber phishing as opposed to the classic going fishing at the river or the lake. But you can see some of the topics here. And if you're not a HIPAA client or if the partner is not a HIPAA required or doesn't want the medical version and that's turned off, you just won't see the medical related parts of the training. But as I would go through that, it takes about 45 minutes if I was just to watch them all the way through. Again, I would come back, I would hit my training, I say, okay, let me go ahead and take my quiz, and boom, here we are. So we would just scroll down, answer the questions. When it's done, we hit enter, and then just that quickly, I have my certificate. So now the human resources department can have this on file that the training is done. Any other executive from the from the CIO or the CISO, if there is a security officer on staff, whoever is responsible as the security manager for the organization to account for the posture that's needed is able to do that with things the way that we have it set up. We want to just jump off of there. Again, now as an employee, if we have it set, you would receive a weekly micro training. So just an email comes in at the end of the week. It has whatever micro training for that week, such as one of the ones you see here. And those micro trainings can be done from inside the email. You just click on the little video. I'll show you one in a second. Watch that, answer 4 true or false questions. It then updates back to the platform that little micro training was done. If an organization doesn't want that type of stuff going out, we can turn that off, but an employee can still come back here to their platform and they can watch any of these. So, sometimes they'll be associated to the seasons. In this case, a romance phishing scam might be during Valentine's Day.
Like love itself, romance scams are a tale as old as time.
And so then 4 questions, we answer that, submit it, boom, we're done with that. It increases your score for overall security posture. This is where I talked earlier about how we're not charging for some of the resources that other vendors and partners do. So the thing I love about the breach protection platform, as I have already mentioned, we can cover things of multiple vendors in one time. Usually cyber awareness training and phishing is one vendor. Dark web monitoring, as we're looking at here, is another vendor. Security risk assessment is a third vendor. Possibly policy development and additional compliance type support we have in here might even be a 4th vendor. So we're able in our tool set to bring some value that would require small to medium businesses to still be looking for 2 or 3 other vendors when they're like, I'm just trying to get to work. I'm trying to figure out how to get all this done and not be saddled down with things I don't understand, and I need somebody to help me with it. So where I was going with that was here. We can put in our professional email. We can hit check. Luckily, my professional email is good. But if I was to use one of my practice emails out here from good old Gmail, I can see that that one has been in data breaches. So if I wanted to check my spouse, my child, my grandparent, my friend, we let you do that. We're not charging anymore. Some places will charge $99 for one domain and then an additional $40 per domain. And then if you want to do individual dark web checks, they want to charge you like $10 per. We're not doing that. All of this we look to wrap into a solution. And so it's a single price for everything that we work to provide to customers and clients and partners. So you can see how that works there. As an employee, again, I can see all the newsletters. I think these go back to like 2016. And so I can go back and look at different ones to refresh my memory or just to keep up with what's going on. But then as the organization has rolled this out, I can now go to the policies tab in my employee portal, and I can see again all the policies from the employee's perspective that the organization wants me to know about or has to keep up with verifying that I've got access to. And so if I had never acknowledged any of these policies before, there would be a button down here that says acknowledge all, and then everything over here on the right would get all of its check marks. Some organizations require the employees to physically download these and save them and read them. You can download here with the download button. You can go through and acknowledge each one of them individually as you've read them. But as you see, we can just highlight them and kind of get a general summary of what they're covering. And so any policies, as I said here again, 18 are part of this initial type of setup. But if you have an additional 10 in your organization, or we need to make 5 more, we craft those as part of a virtual CISO solution with your organization, and we get those loaded for you so that we can make sure that you're getting your compliance needs met. So I'm going to jump off of that just for the sake of not having too much more overkill. And so I want to just talk about a little bit more about our assurance. So there are some things that have to be done for that, as I mentioned earlier. And so it's just a very short checklist. And you see it's here on our website. Cybersecurity controls for the TrueSecure assurance program. The organization has to have threat monitoring for ransomware, business email compromise. If we develop a solution for them that includes our security sensors, that's going to be covered. Data backup and encryption of data at rest. If we're working with an MSP IT partner that's already doing that for their clients, well, that is already checked off. It's not a problem. Usually the IT team, again, is doing patching associated with the IT environment. If an organization doesn't have multi-factor authentication, we can put that in as part of the virtual CISO package for them. And then the organization just has to verify and document any kind of out-of-band wire request or changes to routing instructions on invoices. They don't have to report it to us all the time, but if something happens, such as a business email compromise, they've got to be able to show us that it's there, and they have done that, so that before we can file a claim to get our assurance funds to cover us providing these backups and remediations beyond the normal contract, we have to see all these controls in the checklist in place. And then, as we've mentioned before, we go down into the things that are covered under the assurance program. And if you don't have cyber insurance, as I mentioned before, we do not sell insurance, but we do have a portal here from our website. If you click on that portal, it will take you over to our quote page and allow you between the United States and Canada primarily to get a quote for, say, you have a revenue, let's just say 100,000 a year, and let's just say you are in healthcare. So boom, just like that, you can come down, and the complete, of course, is the biggest package. But even if we looked at the highest level, say we wanted a $2 million policy, $2,900 for the year is what it would be for that. And we can see what that is. And we see the coverages that are part of that, which are the standard ones in the cyber insurance industry associated with those. Then we have another area, though, that's covered too, the cyber crime coverage. So this is computer fraud, funds transfer fraud, social engineering fraud. So social engineering deals with someone trying to get into the organization, maybe past a secretary at a front desk, and they were able to kind of just work some magic and make them feel comfortable and kind of either get past them or get some information out of them. And so that might be where a cybercrime, social engineering concern or issue might come in. But again, this is here for clients and partners as a referral quote, and it kind of helps just increase the posture that we have. So the statement there for increasing that posture helps reduce our risk. So as a security team, as a partner with our partners who are helping provide security services or promote security services out, knowing someone has a robust security package and posture allows us to not charge as much because our risk is not as high. Our risk goes down the more of our security solution a client or a partner is using, because we know the ins and outs of it. We know that it's strong. We know that it's solid. And we know that in the greater Seimitsu family, we have the resources available to cover good 98+% of anything that might come up. And we have eyes on everything 24 hours a day. So that was just kind of a overview. I know it was about an hour or so, but it allows you to stop and start, take a look at some different things, and we will be available for any questions and look forward to talking with you about any opportunities that exist. Again, I'm Lieutenant Colonel retired Scott Scheidt. I am the current Chief Security Officer at Seimitsu, and we are happy to be partnering with organizations in the US and overseas to bring affordable enterprise-grade security solutions to small to medium businesses primarily, but are able and have the resources to support large companies up to 5,000 employees and more, and also governmental organizations. So again, thank you for your time.